Hey everybody! Welcome to episode 2 of our pop culture series, Riding the Wake. Today's show is Waves of Time, and we'll be discussing the new Wheel of Time show and, in the real world, wave runners and the whole jet ski family of watercraft and our opinions of how the people who ride those things treat us on the water. And if we have time, we'll also discuss Lucky Charms and Lucky
Yeah,
Charms commercials.
yeah.
I'm Harlan Bea, and I'm in seat 1 today.
And I'm, as always, Naya, and I'm in seat two following him.
All right, let's dig into it right away.
Okay.
Wheel of Time came out recently, and I have read the books, but it was a long time ago. And I only got through, I think, 6 of them before I kind of caught up to the point where the writer was actually writing the books. And then I didn't have the patience to wait. And so I sort of dropped the series. At this point, all the books are out. I believe Robert Jordan, unfortunately, is deceased. And after he died, he left the task of writing, I believe, the last 2 or 3 books to two other folks. Brandon Sanderson, I think, is one. And I wish I should have looked up the name of the other lady who did one of the other books. But they finished up the series for him using a combination of his notes and other I think they were able to actually talk to him about it beforehand. I think they he had planned to hand it off to other folks at a certain point. Anyhow, there are a lot of books in the series. I have no idea whether they're planning on doing all the entire story, and and because I've kind of not really, I don't really remember what happened. I don't know if they compressed more than one book into this initial series. So this is kind of where we stand with like my knowledge of like the franchise history and all that. The other thing I know about the franchise is that there's a rabid fan base online, and they love this series and don't tell them otherwise. So I don't know if they're gonna like us after this, but here we go anyway. But we're going to be talking about the show, not the books. So, Naya, you watched the show more recently than me, and I think you have a good idea of kind of where you think this is all going. And I wanted to start with your summary first, and just from a story standpoint, like go into this and see like what your take on it and what my take on it is from the show. Because like I said, I don't really remember the books much.
Okay, so I've never read the book. I didn't even know the show existed until you told me. I had to check this out. So I binge watched it. I think it was after or before I binged Stranger Things, which was kind of cool because I got to see different worlds. So my summary on Wheel of Time is that there was this almighty powerful person that they called the dragon, who is neither good nor evil. And he comes along every so often, and when people know that he's coming or feel that he's coming, the two forces of good and evil fight for that one person to be their leader. So the balance of structure and everything doesn't get off balance. And it's taking you through this whole journey. And from a standpoint now, it's usually just one person. They say it's one person. But you come to find out that in this series, there are four people, or technically
Five people?
five.
5 people, I think.
Technically, technically five, but apparently there's, they said originally there was in the book that there were four. So I don't know who to believe at this point. But they all possess powers of the dragon. I'm trying to understand.
Well,
But
they were
there's,
also really vague about, like, they didn't really remember what powers the dragon had, because
yeah.
when you get to the last, by the way, spoilers, folks, we're definitely going to be spoiling the shit out of this, so, like, just don't watch this episode if you're,
because
Don't
you
watch
don't
this
want to
episode
know.
until after you've watched The Wheel of Time if you care about spoilers. But in the
Yeah,
last episode, there's a brief point where they talk about how the location they go to, the pit or the eye of the world, that is
yeah.
the sort of focus point of where they're trying to go during the thing. When they finally arrive there, they make a mention of that being a place where they don't know anything about it because dark kin or dark folk or anyway
Yeah.
the bad guys people have eradicated the memory of it from libraries.
Hmm.
So again, this is the reason why you decentralize your currency and you use NFTs, folks. So so that people just can't randomly go in and like take books out of your library and go, no history for you.
Yes, they
So they have
protect.
apparently no idea what powers he actually did have
So
last
apparently they just,
time, and there's no guarantee he would have the same powers this time, right?
so they disperse the powers equally. I guess I don't know.
I don't even
It's
know how they're
weird.
supposed to recognize this person. They're just like, it's a very, very powerful person.
Yeah,
And it'll be born at a specific moment as proclaimed by some
the higher power.
oracle?
I guess.
Was
Yeah,
there an oracle? There was some prophecy. Or
I
maybe a
believe so.
vision. I don't know. That part of it was all very like sketchy and like, how do they know like all this stuff? It seems very sketchy to me.
Well,
But
apparently,
kind of like Harry Potter, it's like I'll be spoiling Harry Potter if anyone hasn't read those books by now. Sorry. Um, uh, it, it's kind of like, was it Harry or was it Neville? Because they were born on the same day, apparently.
yeah, but didn't the Dark Lord only go to Harry's crib, and Harry had the mark, and
Yes,
Neville didn't?
exactly. And when Harry asks Dumbledore about that, he's like, "Well, it doesn't really matter if it was Neville because fucking the Dark Lord's after you.
You
So
just
you're sort of
won.
screwed, dude. And it doesn't
You,
matter if it was like if the prophecy was on point or not.
you just won the shit lottery, Harry. Enjoy.
Yeah, congratulations. You better hope your friends are up to the task." And just like in Harry Potter, all these folks are friends, right? So all
Yeah,
these powerful individuals happen to be born in the same locality, in the same area, in a sort of loose tribe structure. Like
yeah,
they have a very unique sort of social structure system in the books, which I applaud Robert Jordan for. Or I don't know if this is a modification from the books that they did for it, but I like this sort of loose clan structure that they have going on, and all the adopted people, and this very sort of post. I'm going to call it a post high technology society, but I don't mean to imply that they had technology like we do. It was like you do see at some point that there was a higher level of either magic technology or definitely a more complex civilization, not necessarily a better civilization, but a more complex civilization, and they have devolved.
yeah,
They have lost what they had. And so they are all living in these different kinds of social structures. And this town where they live in, they all have these like women who are kind of in charge of the.
day to day, and that's what kind of struck me. That's what got me when they first did it. It was like you could see the the women who were given power. Like they were, told the men, okay, well you're doing this, and I need you to do this, while they took on man roles of being in charge of everything. And that was kind of like a really, it was good to see, especially like Karen's wife. Dude, the woman was making like swords and stuff. I
Oh yeah,
love
she was a
swords.
smith. And Perrin
Yeah,
was like, I think she and Perrin both were smiths, but she seemed like the competent one. Karen seemed
Yeah.
like the salesperson.
Yeah, this is a really strong sword. Yes, this is
Yeah,
yeah.
he's like the guy who mans the billows, and she's like fucking hammering shit,
Yeah, exactly.
which was definite. Like that did. I liked that about her character. I feel like it's difficult to make characters that you care about who, again, spoiler alert, pause for a second, who then immediately die,
Yes.
right? And so I was like, oh, I like her. I want to see more of, oh shit, she's dead. That's
She's
great. Like,
yes,
well done. And I
yes.
also like the idea that they've got this sort of uh, egalitarian kind of commune kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
It very much reminds me of a book I'm reading right now, which is about the sort of the view of early Americans, like 1600s and 1700s American tribes, their views of the Europeans who were coming to the United States, or not the United States, but to particularly the French colonies. So, very interesting book, but basically there was this sort of difference philosophically about how they ran their civilizations. The tribes, the local tribes, all had very different cultures, but the commonality among them was that they were very much like men, women, we just do stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody has a role. They were very individualistic. There were leaders, but the leaders managed collaboratively through argumentation and logic. And you could be a leader no matter your gender, your age, whatever. It was respect based, right? And so this was very much not the French style and not the European style. And so I think Robert Jordan is kind of carrying on this sort of idea through this, like that small town, that little commune is very much that style of place.
Yeah.
I liked that. It feels different.
It does, and it is, especially coming from the particular type of TV and series that we're used to watching here. It it's so different, and I love that. Um, but
Me too.
what I wanted to say is that whenever there was stuff happening, and when I mean stuff, shit like you know pillaging and stuff, it always was foreshadowed. You'd always see, and I picked this up right away, that the peddler was always there when it happened. He would be there today, and then next thing you know, the damn Trollocs and that army is coming to rampage that town or something, and it's like, all right, he has something to do with he's the evil one
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
like these people didn't have conspiracy sensors.
Yeah.
It's it's like, hey, I've seen you before.
What are you doing here? Ah,
Why are you here? I like that. I actually liked that. I liked that he would come in and be a sort of harbinger of doom.
yeah. And
It's
you
not a
would
bad
think,
role. Like if you can get it as an actor, being the harbinger of doom is a fun role to play.
but you think with all that power and wisdom that the wisdom had, Nynaeve,
Is she
come
really
on,
wise,
baby.
or is it just a title? All right, so this is where I wanted to
We're-
kind of talk
Let's just,
about the
let's,
people a little bit.
let's just dive into that,
Let's
man.
talk about the people, because all right, before I start nitpicking, because I know that people are going to be like, you must hate this show. I actually like the show. I enjoyed the show. I watched all the way to the end. I thought it was cool. I'm even thinking about going back to the books and giving them a restart. I know it's going to be a long slog, but maybe I'll do it. I don't know. So props to everyone working on this piece. I love you all, particularly the actors. I thought the actors all were doing a really great job. A lot of actors I've never seen before in stuff, maybe in smaller things, but the quality is definitely there. But I do
Yeah.
have some pet peeves.
What are your pet peeves? Do we talk about the three oaths before you do your pet peeves or
Now we
after?
can talk about the three oaths. I mean, I feel like we should talk about characters. I want to talk about my pet peeves, and we can talk about the three oaths. Let's start with yours. But I feel like I wanted to put that disclaimer out there because I'm like
Yeah,
I'm this is coming from a place of love.
yeah. Now, I mean, I not knowing and not having read the book, I do like the show. It keeps my interest. Um, so I do love um, uh, the Blue Isodex. I love her.
Moraine?
Moraine.
Yeah.
I love Al of the Land, or Al, as I'm going to say. Her,
Oh, you
her
mean Lan? Lan. Lan?
Lon. Yes.
Lan Mondragra.
Lon,
Daniel
yeah.
Henney's character, folks. We can't
Yes.
pronounce the
Yes,
name,
it
but
is. We're going to do our best. Um, I love their characters because it it just brings the adult supervision in for the main characters who are like kind of like the kids. Because
yeah.
every time they're like, "Why don't we get?" Because we are doing this. I cannot tell a lie. I cannot speak. You know, I'm like, okay, we're just go with what they say. Um, so I really love their characters. I am so in love with the guy who plays Heron, Marcus Rutherford, I think is his name.
Why?
I
He's
just
he's very lovable. He seems like a very like the character he conveys is very lovable and soft and cozy.
like he seems to me like the good balance between okay, we need to do this, let's think about it, okay, I understand, give support when they the characters need support. I think he's a really good rounded character.
Hmm.
Rand, you know, spoiler alert, it's him. They say he's the dragon. um
Yeah, but I don't believe that.
you don't
I
believe
don't
that
I
he's
don't believe that because of all
you,
the foreshadowing about the rest of them and they do seem to all have a lot of powers and I think
yeah.
Rand is very narcissistic. So
Well, he's better than that.
what?
He's better than Matt, the one
Yeah,
who
but he's still
decided to
narcissistic. Matt's
leave.
just a dick. Matt doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities.
He
Like
did love his sisters. He did love his sisters, though. I will give him that.
he says that, but all
No,
right,
that
and okay, so here's where I have maybe I should bring in my pet peeve now as we're starting to talk about folks.
I think you should.
Okay, so one of the things that in writing and in all storytelling that they say you should do for good story development is to show and not tell. This is a basic sort of this is a basic sort of guideline that is important to follow. And I've heard people say things like, you have to earn it, right? So if you
Mhm.
have a character die, or if you have a character get married, or have a child, or if you have two characters kiss for the first time, your audience, for your audience to connect with it, you have to earn it as the story runner or the writer, whatever. There are some things in this show that I don't feel like the show earned. And I'm going to list a couple of these. And okay. So first off is Matt's actual relationship with his family. We saw a snippet of it, but there's not a lot there. And there's not enough for me to make a judgment, a meta judgment outside of the piece of art as to whether or not he is simply a dick who believes that he is helping his family, but he's actually not, where he's a narcissist and he thinks that anything he does is helpful, or if he actually is helpful. Now, other characters like Randall, Rand Althor, which we'll talk about why his name's not Randall in a moment. Randall, I believe, has the unfortunate duty of being the person who says, "Oh, Matt, he's okay. He's really nice to his family." But he has very few examples of actually how this happens. And he doesn't seem like the kind of person I would trust to be able to make that estimation, because he doesn't seem like he's very individually wise himself, right? He doesn't seem to have a lot of self-knowledge. He doesn't seem very worldly. He doesn't seem to have seen a lot yet. And I get all these characters are supposed to be young, and so that's why I don't trust Matt. And this is not bad, right? And so if the showrunners want me to not trust Matt, and it seems like that's the case, and not trust Randall, and not trust any of these other people, that's great. But I guess the problem I have is that I don't find any of these people trustworthy, except maybe Lan Mondragoran, Daniel Henney's character. He's the only person who, like, I feel like would have my back. All these other people, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like you've earned my, like, my interest yet on all of them, and I'm willing to give you another season, but and the one thing that's like my pet peeve of pet peeves right now, because I've been watching so many K-dramas, and we're going to come back to K-dramas all the time. I've been watching so many K-dramas, and they do such a great job of earning every friendship, every enmity, every set of lovers, because they share screen time together. They talk to each other. They have little arguments and spats. Even people who are enemies together spend time on screen together, jousting and fighting and playing together. And they earn it. When you get to the end of that, you're like, yeah, you got him. Or, oh, they kissed finally after 16 episodes. They earn it. And there are some things in here, and it's, by the way, not the showrunner's fault, because they're following the books, I believe. I believe they're following the first book. It's just not earned in the book. Like, the relationship between Randall and, not
Gwen.
Nynaeve,
Gwen.
Gwen. Gwen.
Gwen. Yeah.
That relationship feels so hollow to me. So hollow. And I know they've only got so many hours and so many things that they can do here, but they're just not even on screen together. They talk about how they love each other when they're away from each other. But they're just like, I don't even understand how they talk to each other.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
No, I can see that, but that isn't that like modern day relationship? The absence makes the heart grow fonder, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm here for the entertainment. I want to see these people together. Like, I want to see a love story. If you're going to write a love story, show me a love story. Don't just tell me, oh, I really love my... Like, if I stood here and told you how much I loved my wife and how much I loved my wife and how much I loved my wife, would you believe me?
Well, I've seen you in person, so yeah,
You,
I
well,
would.
you've
But
seen me and June together. You've seen us interact together. You have proof that I have a wife.
she is real, folks.
She, I am married, believe it or not. Um,
But I understand what you're saying, though. They have to build that relationship in order for you to uh-huh, invest in that relationship
yeah,
and that growth of that relationship. Now, here's my thing. I watched, the season. My mind was so confused about Daniel Henney's character and Zoe Robin getting together, and then Moraine and the high up, I I
Aes Sedai.
mother Aes Sedai,
Aes
sorry,
Sedai.
Aes Sedai mother getting together. It was like, what just happened here?
So
I
you
thought.
You thought that Lan and Moraine were a thing because they were always together, right?
Yes,
See, it's because they earned that. They earned it. They were always together. They were always talking. And you're like, these two could work together.
yes.
But Lan and Nynaeve barely shared screen time together. And when they're like, oh, we're going to do it now, we're going to be all naked. And they're like, okay, this felt very, very surprising to me.
Not unlike Maureen's character in Mother.
That was okay though. I'm okay. The reason why I'm okay with that is because there's an in-story reason why, and it may not be properly explained at this point, but
Yeah.
there's, to me, it seems like once you get elevated to that leadership position, you
Mhm.
have to separate yourself from the different utility groups. So it's like the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, like all the different groups of women who are in the Aes Sedai have
Yeah.
particular roles to play with
Yeah.
regard to sort of safeguarding their magic powers,
Yeah.
right? So you've got the blues who are basically like CIA, right? They'll go out and they will try to do intelligence operations. And then you've got the reds. They're basically like the FBI, right? They're
Don't hate the
basically a
red.
police force.
I hate the red. I hate that character. I'm sorry. I hate that red. I see that.
Well, that's good though. That's good. But do you hate it because she's a bad character, or do you hate her because you hate
There's
the idea of that role that she's fulfilling in society?
there when she came on first when that character came on the first time, when that opening scene where she is on horseback and she is, kind of cornering the fake dragon,
Yeah.
just the way she looked, the way she carried herself. I mean, I know obviously she has to be in a position of power, but I just looked at her and I go, I already know I don't like you. You are a bad bitch. I don't like you. I am not going to like your character. And I was so right because when Moraine, that last scene when Moraine was leaving the tower, she's like, I don't think that they would particularly take to the fact that you see a man. And I'm like, oh, she was threatening to out her. Oh my God, because apparently they are not supposed to be with the man. The Reds aren't supposed to intermingle with, I don't know. Just, that was, that was gangster in my opinion with Moraine. I liked that one. She just got back at her.
Well, I like it when there are characters I can hate. And I also think it's fantastic when as an actor you can come in and you can deliver a performance where, like you said, the moment you see that character, you're like, oh, that character, I'm not going to like her at all. I think that's fantastic. I think that's great acting. You basically come in and you're like, I'm not a normal person. I'm like the evil red character, sort of. I'm the lawful evil red character. You know
There's
what I
just
mean by
so
lawful
many,
evil, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's just so many layers to this, yeah, series. It's cool, and
it's
I like
cool. I do like that. But for a moment, I just I want to I want to express my I want to express my understanding and my sympathy to Robert Jordan, who obviously had a friend named Randall
mm,
who was probably in the mob or maybe some sort of low-level enforcer for a government organization that we shall not name. And that friend named Randall came to him one day and said, you're going to put me in your book. And he said, well, I'd really like to, but it's sort of about like women and a bunch of kids and they're in this crazy place and they all have weird names and like your name is Randall. And so the guy says, and you're going to make it happen, right? Aren't you creative? Be creative. And that's why I think there's a dude named Randall in this. So we've got Nynaeve, Perrin, Leandrin, Loyal, Logain, and Randall. Randall Thor. So, yeah. Oh, also, this guy, Randall, he had a buddy named Matt. And so Matt also is in this.
That's why they have the two most unique names out of the bunch.
Yeah, they have the most American names, I guess you would. White American names, Randall and Matt. So, sorry, Robert. We know you're probably pushed into this. We understand.
But we like the series. We like the
But we
series.
like the series. We like the series. All right. So let's see. One other small pet peeve, and I guess there's this part of me that just wants to see stakes because I really did like, and I don't mean stakes in the ground like stakes that
Yeah.
people having bad things happening to them and just because I'm used to Game of Thrones, right? If you're gonna torture your character
Oh
and
my
like
god.
flay their skin off in one episode and in the next like 5 minutes later game time later I mean yeah it's a week later in episode like release time but like 5 minutes later they're okay or you're gonna nearly bring someone to the verge of death and have them all like ah scary face and like maybe not breathing and then just they're okay. If you're gonna do that, I don't know.
I hear what
I
you're
don't know.
saying.
If it feels like there are no stakes, right? It feels like these people are invulnerable and that they are just surrounded by cozy, warm, cushy plot armor. And I know it's a really long series. I know it's a really long series, and I know that you're trying to make it as like exciting as possible, but man, it feels like there are no stakes if nobody can get hurt.
Yeah. Well, and here's my thing with that. Okay, there was this one scene in the new one where
You mean the
they're
latest episode?
the latest episode where they are the all the healers are coming and are standing and waiting for the Trollocs to come, right? And the girl is saying, "I need all your power," and what? Two of them get killed, and then Nane, and then and Gwen are there, and then the princess is dying because she's taking all the power, and yet, you know, Gwen heals Nane. Why couldn't she bring the others back to life?
Because it seemed so easy, right? It seemed so easy for her. So like, yes, yes, exactly.
If you bring one character back, it's like I said, in our first episode, if you're gonna bring back a character, you gotta bring back all the characters.
Oh,
It just you have to. You
well,
have
there are ways
to.
they could have dealt with this, right? There are ways they could have dealt with this. For example, they could have made her so exhausted afterward that she literally just passes out on the ground and like other people are there to like grab them and like drag them away or something like that, right? They could have
Yes,
valets or something help. But they didn't that's this lack of stakes, right? So it's like, okay, if you can heal somebody, there needs to be some cost.
yes.
There needs to be some cost imposed. If there's no cost imposed, then it looks like your main characters are basically able to go through the world impervious. And the question comes up, why didn't you help anybody else? They all were about as dead.
Yeah. Well, I guess she was exhausted because she was crying. She was emotionally exhausted when after she, brought
She was
Nene
still
back.
up.
She
I,
was
I
still
gotta
up there.
say, all right, here's the thing. if I was in if I was in a car accident, right? And there were a bunch of people lying on the ground, but I could still move. And I was able to bandage one person or like, you know, tie off a thing. And then I saw another person and they're bleeding. I'd be like, I'd go try to help them. You know, I do CPR or whatever. You try to help as many people as you can. And I feel like most people would try to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If they had just shown her try to go to another person and go, oh, this person's too far gone, they're dead, or like, you don't even need to do much with it. You could just have her kind of like rest her head on their head or something like that. There are things you can do to show that she cares about the other people. Admittedly, all of these people are sort of narcissistic jerks. So, particularly her, that character, and I don't know if she like grows out of this in later books. I hope she does, but I thought Egwene was a complete, just a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Just a jerk. I feel like her and Randall, fantastic couple. They're both jerks. Like, I feel like, yeah, of course they would be together. They're both obnoxious. They both think so highly of themselves. They both love the fact that they're in love, but they don't actually seem to know the other person very well. Egwene is just completely happy ditching him and going to play with the Aes Sedai. And then later she's like, oh no, I don't want to do that at all. And he's like, well, it sure seems like that. And then he's like, fucking, I'm out. See ya, girl, at the end.
And then she's like, where did he go? We need to follow him. It's like, what just
I'm
happened?
like, who are these people? What are their motivations? I don't even know. I don't even know.
Oh
But
my
but
God.
I'm interested, right? I want to find out more. Maybe.
Maybe there's a glimmer of hope for you. I don't know.
And again, this is a beloved series. I think it maybe is just a really long burn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we learn more about these characters later on. And I think people grow to love them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping we will too. And I'm kind of winding us down right now. You can tell I'm
Yeah.
winding us down because I think we need to move on to our
Yes, we
second
did.
item of discussion today. Next on the agenda is wave runners.
Our pet peeve.
So, waves of time come and go, and
Unfortunately, wave runners are here to stay.
and waves of time when they hit you, like it can be bad and full of evil. When you're on the water, particularly when you're on the water with a bunch of new paddlers or
Oh,
paddlers who might be like young kids who are just learning to paddle, and you're taking them out and they're going onto the bay for the first time and they're like, yay, I'm nervous and I'm paddling, yay. And then what happens, Naya?
you get an idiotic person on a jet ski or wave runner who likes to say, "Oh look, people, let's go make wake for them."
Let's go make friends with those outrigger canoes. Okay, so if you're, all right, if you enjoy going out on a wave runner or a jet ski and you are conscientious about other people around you, this is not what we're not talking about you. If you're like 50 meters away from me and you're tooling around and having fun, go do your thing.
Yeah, you usually see us coming, and you will go the other way. You know, you're not. You're not. We're talking about the other ones.
Yeah. All right. So wave runners go like 30, 40 miles per hour and we go, I would say max out hard going 6 miles an hour. Is that, is that like
Maybe
a top
10 if we're.
speed?
I've gotten up to like 8 or 10,
Eight
so
or
I'm gonna
10?
say
Like, yeah, but that's
somewhere in
sprinting,
the
right?
yeah. So yeah, but if we're just relaxing, maybe go 6 or 8. somewhere between there.
Yeah, I'm used to seeing it in meters per second, so it's hard to like convert it into
Yeah,
American like things that people who drive would know. So
yeah.
okay, so and the thing with personal watercraft is that they're balance based, right? So we're all learning to balance, and there's all waves and stuff like that, and weight coming in. They're coming in on the sides, they're coming in the front of you, and when you're in the water for the first few times, you know, even when you're a more experienced person, the heavier that weight comes, the worse that is for you. And so if you're like spinning around on your wave runner next to a bunch of little kids, you're going to be tossing them all into the water. And that lack of civility, I find reprehensible.
I, I can concur. I've been on even by myself. I know that they see me. They know that they see me, but yet I am like a target, and they are trying to knock me off my boat.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
don't,
when I
are
don't
they actually,
understand.
all right, so do you think they're literally actually trying to knock us off our boats? Or do you think that they're like, oh, let's go over there next to those boats and they have no idea what's happening behind them? Do you think they're just completely inexperienced and unknowledgeable about like wake and how it works?
I just think that they don't like us on the water. It's like
Maybe.
the big boat. I think it's like the big boat theory, you know?
Oh, like the bigger boats. The big boats are like, yeah, if you're a smaller boat,
Yeah.
you better get out of the way because I'm coming through.
Yeah. It's like I mean, I don't want to think that, but any and every wave runner that I've come across, even paddling by myself or with the kids, it seems like they, especially in the open water that we paddle. Now, I'm not talking about Liberty Station where we're out of, but when we go to the Bahia or Mission Point Park and stuff like that, they're there all the time. And I mean, I believe and I've seen people get in arguments with people on the wave runners. And and the wave runner's like, well, you're going too deep and slow. Get out of my beeping way. I'm like, you're supposed to be behind the yellow 5 mile per hour sign. You're not supposed to be in here where we are. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they just don't
Yeah, there
care.
are speed limits out there. There are speed limit signs. And we pretty much go under the speed limit because we have to. We're not even as fast as bicycles. Just if folks are unfamiliar with paddling, you gotta try really really hard to go as fast as sort of like a skateboard.
Yeah, exactly. We're below skateboard level.
We're
Like
below
we're
skateboard speeds generally. I mean, you can
like
get going faster if you catch a wave.
yeah.
And then you're going at about the speed of a wave, but most wave most wave runners, despite the name, don't actually ride and surf. Like I've never seen a surf ski, sorry, not a surf ski. I've never seen a jet ski or a wave runner out there riding the surf with us.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
I've
other
seen
craft
I've
runners.
seen boats. I've seen boats out there trying to get through, but typically it's kind of like it's too difficult for them. Like the waves are often too big for them to get through, unless it's a really big boat or like a working boat, construction boat, that sort of thing. They'll go through, but like a lot of smaller watercraft, they'll just be like, no, we're not going out there today. And then we'll be out there. We'll be like, woo!
Yeah, but I've also seen wave runners and jet skis when we've been doing dragon boat practice, and they still do that too. I don't
Yeah,
understand
and
it.
that puzzles me. I don't think they understand the weight differential.
Yeah, like if they're one person and they're going fast, and we have 20, even though we're probably going maybe a little bit slower than them, they can still knock us off. And getting and turning over a dragon boat with 20 people in it, that is very hard to turn that boat over. Like we have to tilt it back
Yeah,
on
for
the
us putting
shore.
it to right that boat, this is very difficult.
Yeah. So I guess what we're saying in short, Harlan, is that we just want them to know that we're not a threat, and we want them to kind of share the water with us. I guess.
Yeah,
Are
share the
we saying?
water and be aware that your wake is potentially life-threatening to others.
Yes. That's your public service announcement
Yeah,
for
that's
this
your PSA
episode.
for the day. I mean, if you knock us into the water, most of us are going to be fine. However, it is never good to be knocked off your boat. There's always a risk.
Yes.
There's always a risk, particularly with a larger boat like a dragon boat.
Yes. So I think, yeah, that's our PSA.
Yeah,
I think that's a good place to end there, kids.
I think so. All right, so that was today's show, everybody. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And in the comments, tell us what annoys you about other riders, drivers, paddlers, whatever. Release all your stress in the comments below. Until next time, don't hoolie, and we'll see you on the land or on the water or in the water. Peace out.
Hey, bye.